Hey friends, this is Wishko the Ferret. Thanks for hopping into the Ferret Den where we're keeping things warm and we're keeping things cozy. Today we have a collective reading for you, so whenever you feel intuitively called to listen to this message, this could be for you. But as always, drop into your heart space. Let the dust spiritually, physically, and emotionally settle around and within you so that you can determine which messages are for you and which messages are for others. You'll want to check in with your heart space so that you can decide for yourself how this applies. Okay, so while you get centered and situated, I will also do the same. Thank you, Archangel Michael, for connecting me with the highest white light and for protecting our energy. Thank you for keeping me safe. I'm staring at 21:21 on my clock right now. I don't know if you can't see it because it's facing me, but isn't that pretty? I love seeing multiple. I love seeing number sequences on the clock. I'm a sucker for those. So thank you, angels. Thank you, spirit team, for helping me guide our collective at this time. Thank you for drawing those to listen to this message that's meant for them, that would help uplift them and empower them on their journey in life. Thank you for allowing me to articulate this in a way that they can understand, and in a way that that uplifts and empowers. Connecting with the goodness of their souls. Let's see what we have for our collective. Is that you coughing? My ferrets are out and about, and I just heard someone coughing. So we have Moon Maiden at the head of your reading. This is a card of new beginnings. So for some of you, you are, I just heard you are capable of a new start. So if this is something that you've been waiting for. This is something that perhaps you've been trying to achieve for a long time, and Spirit is saying that's within your reach. That this is feasible, that it's possible, and that they're right here with you, helping to make it happen. Your Astro Dice has Mercury, Cancer, and the 12th house. Now, Mercury is the sign of communication. It is the sign of, I'm hearing, like, okay, so, like, it's also, like, the planet, I'm sorry, not the sign, it's, like, the planet of short distances. It is a planet mainly for communication and being a messenger. So, around this time, you could be receiving news, but it is almost like, I just heard like effective communication, and especially with the Cancer energies of the feelings that it is, that the planet's like the what, okay? So the Mercury is like the communication or the message. And then Cancer is deep sensitivity, or involving like our deep knowing, our deep intuitive, and deep intuitive feelings. So big on feelings, big on intuition, and deep sensitivities with that. So this could be some very relevant information that is sensitive. So like something about receiving messages, Spirit saying they're receiving your complaints. Sorry, if the camera is shifting, I have this set up on the door. And there's a bunch of stuffed animals behind my door, and the ferrets love to burrow into that, so sometimes the camera wobbles. Just don't mind. Please don't mind. But whatever this information that you're receiving is, it's almost like, because it's affecting your 12th house, which is kind of our house of, I don't know, I always think of like sadness and grief when I think of the 12th house. It is our house of kind of like our addictions, or the deeper parts of life, the things that we struggle with often. And it does kind of broach the subject of our karmic cycles that are present that we need to clear. So specifically in relation to your communication, that's just what this message seems. It's like, it's focused on a new beginning, and it's almost like you want to clear the way. And I don't know if this is like, I guess we'll have to see, but it's almost like this Mercury energy is almost like it's the words that are being used at this present moment in time that are affecting your 12th house and affecting your feelings. It feels like perhaps you've been I'm hearing that it's like a calling card for you to switch up your language, perhaps the way that you've been speaking to yourself. Some of you could I feel like this is less of a physical message coming to you, but in order to engage with the universe in a more positive way, in order to receive direct guidance that feels better, it's important to change the language that you use with yourself so that spirit can start using that language with you, because things are a mirror, and it can, if someone who struggles with mental health, it is something that is very achievable, I will say. I have very much struggled. My journey into spirituality, my dark night of the soul was awful because I did not know anything about protection. I did not know anything about anything, basically, and I was just hearing spirits all day, and I already had mental health issues, so I was like losing my mind. So, you might not have that exact same situation, but the words that you use, you need to be kind to yourself, Spirit is saying. So being kind to yourself is incredibly important right now. Your oracle cards that are coming out for you, you have dances on one foot, balancing act, and you also have paired with it seer. See beyond the current situation. I do feel like, for whatever reasons, you have... Okay, y'all. Okay, sorry. That was like a really ugly sound. But... some of you could be divine messengers. I don't know. Some of you could be tarot or oracle readers. Some of you could actually be listening to your guides on a daily basis. I don't know why I just got the chills when I said that. But for whatever reason, it's because in the Moon Maiden card, it says moon. It has a moon in it, and Cancer rules the moon, plus you have a seer card. So I feel like I'm speaking to people who are highly intuitive. You are probably somebody who receives a lot of messages. If you do have shadow parts of yourself that you still need to work through, spirituality and your intuitive side can actually be very scary. And it really feels scary because it's almost like people who struggle with mental health and with psychological like disorders and addictions and such. Like, I'm not licensed in any way, like a medical or therapist professional or anything like that. I can advise that if you have the resources, that it is imperative, especially if you are an intuitive, if you're a light worker, if you are really into spiritual stuff and you are looking to connect with spirit, that shouldn't really be your only method, because you need to do some cleansing here, like on the earth as well. Like, it's important to connect, but my guides have always been very on me about going to therapy, because I will actually be told, and my guides, you'll have to understand, my guides are very like tough love on me sometimes. So the things that I hear, I'll be hearing like, I'm not your therapist. It's usually the spirits that are hanging around my room. They could be the helper spirits, but I do hear like, I'm not your therapist. And I'm like, okay. Like, and I mean, like, they'll hear you out. They'll hear your prayers. But it's hard for us to be in a high vibing state, all the time, because we are human beings living life. I do feel like it is incredibly more difficult to connect with our spiritual side when we have negative self-talk all over the place, and we are like, especially people who have depression and anxiety and all those other things, and we find that so I'm hearing from spirit that perhaps you felt let down by yourself often in the past, and that kind of creates this icky energy, or that feeling of not wanting to rely on yourself, or not trusting your mind, and being afraid of potential things that you could hear. So what I'm saying is, don't fully engage in the spiritual, not out of fear for yourself, but and this doesn't mean, they've helped me through some very dark times. I'm not saying that everybody who engages in spirituality has to be of a right, or positive, I would say, because there's no right mindset, but there's no fully healthy way to engage in spirituality sometimes. It's all on a scale, basically. Some of us are less healthy with it than others. Some of us are more healthy with it than others. And healthy is going to look different depending on who you're talking to. Okay? But back to the information on hand. Those aren't just disclaimers. I feel like that's coming through for a reason. I feel like it's important to understand the relationship between the mind and spirituality, because those two, for whatever reason, are so strongly hand in hand. And I do find that my mental state often does affect the kinds of messages that I'm able to receive from the divine. So, just as a heads up, I do find that they're there. They're there when I'm feeling like at my lowest. That's when I hear spirit the loudest, though I don't always hear like the greatest things. I'll hear that one thing that pulls me out of it and feels like love and amazingness, but there's a lot of crap to wade through. So As somebody who's highly intuitive, it's so important that you just take care of your physical body just as well as your spiritual body, okay? But perhaps you feel like you're unable to because the stance is on one foot, but the balancing act tells me that perhaps you feel a little out of balance. So Spirit's actually telling me to change direction with this reading, and to view this in a different light. So I guess the way that I can explain this is I'm getting the energy of maybe struggling to keep your balance in life. And especially with the Seer card, seeing beyond your current situation, perhaps this is temporary. So, like, this balancing act may seem temporary. I do feel like life in general is just a one full-on balancing act, but I don't think it's always going to be this hectic for you. I'm getting the sense that this is kind of haywire energy. You might feel all over the place or stretched thin, or perhaps you feel like your life hasn't really changed too much, but for whatever reason you just feel more stressed than normal. This, whatever you're feeling, is a temporary situation, and it's not meant to last forever. The last collective message actually got something very similar, in that this is a temporary situation, because everything is. We are constantly fluctuating and in change. But the message that you need to hear now is that this is also looking at the bigger picture with the Seer card. So really taking a step back from your balancing act, and you have a lot of balls up in the air right now. I'm just getting a sense, as I'm seeing this, this fairy is dancing kind of on a vine or a tree branch. She's trying to balance, she trying to balance on this tree branch. And it's almost like I see them throwing just a bunch of seeds up in the air, and then it's almost like you need to step back and prioritize. Which ones am I willing to catch? Like, which ones am I going to let fall? Because after a while, you will come to a time where you will crash and burn, and you will have to pick and choose, because if you don't pick and choose, the universe will for you. And this isn't like a foreboding warning or anything like that, but it does feel like if you're taking on too much, Spirit's kind of letting you know to dial back, and the things that you're putting a lot of mental energy towards or mental anguish towards, Spirit is telling you to take a step back, and instead of putting energy towards those things, think about, is this going to matter like a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, after I have achieved this, or once I've done this, or once I've moved away from the situation, is this something I'm even going to think about anymore? Spirit wants you to dedicate your time and energy towards the things that are going to impact your future in a positive way. So definitely keep that in mind as you're reflecting and as you're stepping into that bigger picture of your life. Really take a look at the things that you are expending mental energy or mental effort towards. You have in the hand, the universe is your partner. You also have snake, shed old skin. I do feel like this has a relation with the last reading. Last reading was about stepping into like a new state of being too. So I feel like this is more of like getting yourself out of a situation. And then the last reading was more of like stepping into this new life and replenishing your energy. So definitely, for whatever reason, I feel like these collective readings are like hand in hand. But let me just stick with this, because I feel myself like, I feel the energy of the collective as I'm talking about that like pulling away. So let me just sink back into it. So in the hand, the universe is your partner. It's telling me that you have the divine's hand. So it's like you're a powerful manifester. And I don't, like, for whatever reason, they're pointing out the numbers to me. I see 41 and I see 31. And for whatever reason, it's coming through cognitively. Like, I don't know too much numerology. I probably know more than I give myself credit for, just from my studies. But for whatever reason, cognitively, this seems to be coming through as starting something, kind of like the first step on a journey. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the fact that we have a 31 and a 41, it could be a 21, it could be a 51, it doesn't matter. It just feels like it is the start of something in the tens place. It is the start of that journey, or the start of a cycle. And that's what I feel like you're doing. You can kind of manifest anything at the start of this cycle. And in order to step into this new cycle of your life, you do have to shed some old skin and leave some things behind. But you have the power to curate kind of, well, I wouldn't even say curate, but you have the power to create anything that you want. Think about, especially when you're creating with the divine, let me just say, when you create with the divine, really believe in miracles. Because spirit does work in miracles. And I think that when we're co-creating with the universe, it's important to leave room in our plan for spirit to kind of work its magic, work its business, because I don't know how spirit's going to work, and I don't know how they're going to help. I just say, hey, I need a little bit of boost. Can I have an opportunity for this? I don't know what the opportunity is going to look like, but this is the desired outcome. Can you try to find a way to make it happen? And I will do my best to try to seize the opportunity that comes to me. And then they start getting to work. But voicing the things that you desire and then letting the universe try to give and allow yourself to receive those things is very important with this manifestation or with this creation that you have going on. You need to release and shed some old stuff that could, because the thing is, you never see snakes run around with old skin on their backs. They're always trying to shed it because then they can't, it's like a weight, it's a burden, it holds them down. So releasing that skin so that you can create with spirit. Spirit's also helping you shed that old skin too. You're not really alone in that. It's not like they're waiting around for your beck, at your beck and call, okay, you tell us what to do. They're always going to be working their tails off in your honor. They're always going to be trying to provide you with things that make you happy, because your spirit guides do know your feelings. A lot of those energies, the spiritual energies that are close to you, whatever you want to call them, your guardian angel, your spirit guides, angels, whatever the case may be, you have entities that are close to you on the other side that know of your feelings, and they know what you came here to do. They know what you want, so they're going to be trying to push you towards your path. The same thing with your connection to your higher self too. You have energies always working in your favor, but you can work even more with them by understanding that they're helping, first of all, and second of all, by creating space in your plan for them to operate, and for feeding them your plans to begin with, so that you can magnify that manifestation and truly create anything that you want. So, just as a heads up for this next cycle, you also have Dream Thief, refusal of the call, and you have Trust the Universe as a clarifier. Now, I really do feel like this is a mystical pile. This is like a surrender to the universe type of energy that I'm feeling right now. You could be feeling called to do something. Dream Thief, a refusal of the call, tells me that perhaps intuitively you know what's going on. I actually just got this card today. Intuitively, you should know what's going on. You feel like you know the right step forward, but you're resisting it for some reason. You're resisting this change I'm hearing. There's a change that you're feeling called to make, but you're resisting it somehow or for some reason. And Spirit's asking you to step back and trust. Spirit is asking you to step into a space of trust, because it's all working for your highest good. I just heard that the result pleases you, or the result will please you. So really keep an open mind with it. And interestingly enough, you have 41, 31, and you have the number 13. So 31 switched is 13. I don't know. I always like to see these numbers, because a lot of times in readings there will always be connections with the numbers, and I'll find funny things like that where it's flipped. But definitely keep that trust in the universe, even when we find that, again, things are incredibly messy. We might not really be in a space to want to trust, because we're like, what the I don't know, I swear like a truck driver, I swear like a sailor, when things go wrong in life, and I'm like, I have to call back that ego, or I have to reel in that part of me that wants to play the blame game and be like, because I literally have cursed out my spirit entities, being like, you got some nerve letting this shit in my life. But it's not their fault, it's all written, and we've all created it before, we've all done this before. I guess what I mean by that is that we have so many experiences that we want to have before we come to this life. And then when we step into this life, it's like we kind of have that veil of forgetfulness where we forget everything that we wanted to come here. We're guiding ourselves. We have that intuitive compass to try to lead the way. But we can create anything. We all instilled in ourselves this ability to co-create our reality with spirit. And that's what we are all being encouraged to do. I'm just hearing God calls you. So again, God for you does not have to be religion. It could be, I use it as a blanket term. I know what it means to me. It has a special meaning for me. But for others, it could mean the universe, love, angels, guides, loved ones on the other side. How is a scary sound? Did you hear that? There was something window, and it was weird. It sounded like a really loud chicken clucking. I don't have chickens in my neighborhood, guys. Okay, sorry. Anyway, I don't know how to interpret that though, because like sometimes when things interject in the readings, it's like a sign, and I can't help but feel like perhaps like the feeling, there's like a fright of dealing with the other side, or there's a feeling of fear, because I feel like I got that sense at the beginning when I talked about, I think I said this like a little bit earlier too, about like the mental health and the image of dealing with spirit. And I just want to say, first of all, that no one's judging you. I can say that all I want, but there's still that feeling of shame that we carry sometimes, our shame for our humanity, and our shame because we feel like sometimes that we could do better. And I just want to say that, you know, Spirit's not thinking about that. Like, I've literally heard Spirit say, no judgment before. You know, because some spirits definitely do come through, like, sounding like they be judging real hardcore. They be telling me all their opinions, and I'm like, excuse me, not necessary. Or like, was that really kind? Like, you know, because I work with elementary schoolers, so now I find that I'm starting to talk to passing spirits as if they're elementary schoolers, because that's the first thing that pops into my mind. And I'm like, now, was that a very kind thing to say? Apologize. You need to say sorry. So I try not to engage with those energies anymore. And again, something that will come later in time when I start learning more about spirit communication, because I don't know everything. Not everybody knows everything. And perhaps I will post an online course or a class or something to help connect with spirit. But essentially, I talk to many things, and sometimes I still don't know what I'm talking to. But right now, the vibe is that the energy that I'm picking up on, which is an energy that I know very well, is being afraid to communicate with the other side, or being afraid of what's out there, and being afraid of one's own power. And you're safe. Can I just say that, like, you're safe and you have the ability to protect yourself? Like, just throwing that out there. If you're looking to commune with spirit, if you're intuitive but you're very afraid of uncertainty, you're very afraid of, like, God, angels, divine, whatever the case may be. I just have, for whatever reason, there's like a fear here. I just heard somebody thump. So give me like 3 seconds to go check and see what's going on. Excuse you. Oh, okay. That's not important. They knocked something over in my living room, and it's not important, but I just wanted to check and make sure. So, anywho, that being said, Spirit just wants to assure you that you don't have to be afraid, and that this is the energy that you should be promoting right now. Sun, enjoy success and happiness, because that's all they want for you, is they're trying to work with you to achieve this. So wherever you feel like your heart is calling you to go, run off into the sunset if that's what you feel like doing. Your guides are like ushering you to experience joy. And the sun is often a sign of positivity. And that's so interesting, because I never read the sides of Astro Dice, but literally what's staring at me in the face is Sun, Scorpio, and the 7th house. Specifically Sun, like, I'm looking at the card, Sun, that positivity, that source of creation within ourselves. Scorpio does often rule fears. When I roll the Astro Dice, Scorpio does pop up as like intense feelings or fears. 7th house actually is our realm of partnership, so perhaps you have been, I mean, this could be, it's kind of like a side message, you could have been scarred in love, or you could have been scarred in your relationships or your friendships even, because I'm seeing like the 11th house as well. But there's just a lot going on here, and there's a lot coming up that you're like wanting to be afraid of. Just, there is a duality of life, and I hate these kind of messages, but there's so much truth to it that I've learned to love them. Oftentimes, like, bless you. No, it's a cough. You okay? I'll get you something in a little bit. Don't worry. It's shedding season, so she's not happy with the dry air, too. I got to get my humidifier going. But I don't know. It's just like, you can choose to look at the darkness and dwell in that. And you can also choose to look at the light. And there will oftentimes be people who, like, I just heard the words, I can't. it is incredibly difficult for some people to turn their head towards the light. And this isn't saying like, oh, look on the bright side. But it can be incredibly difficult, but it's something that needs to be worked on and worked through. You can do it. You can. Stop saying you can't, because you can. There's somebody out there saying, I can't. Because I'm at a point, like, there are so many people who, I know a few people that have passed by suicide. And I know many people who have come back from those situations and survived and thrived and chose to go towards that feeling of light, living in that joy, living in that success. And it is a choice. It's a choice. The choice, it's difficult for some. It might require more effort from some people to see one side versus the other. But life will always hold that duality. There will never be something that we will fully be comfortable in or fully happy in. So the happiness has to come from within. That success and that happiness, that joy, that has to come from within. So Spirit is saying, work towards that, and you got it in the bag. Work towards finding that within yourself so that you can navigate towards things that match that vibration. Okay? So start taking the steps to find those things within yourself. Try to find that sun within in your heart space and help it shine so that you can attract opportunities on the outside so that it isn't that much of an issue, so that it isn't that much of a struggle for you. Okay? 381 for your angel numbers book. We're pulling from Kyle Gray, as always. 381. Let's see what we got. Your angels are guiding you, and your current situation will soon make sense. Know you are aligned with strength. One more time. Your angels are guiding you, and your current situation will soon make sense. Know you are aligned with strength. That being said, collective, thank you so much. That is your reading. Thanks for your, thanks to your, I don't know what I'm trying to say, your guides, your angels, my guides and angels and spirit energies all over the place for helping and assisting me with channeling this message. I'm sorry if some of it came across as like some tough medicine. I didn't like, I never mean for it to be like, I'm hoping I don't sound as brutal as it is, but I've had to learn messages in a very strict way. I've had to learn these lessons in a very strict way, and that seems to be the only way that I can communicate it. So, it's not like I'm trying to hurt anyone by saying this is the way that it has to be. Like, if it doesn't resonate with you, definitely find yourself a reader where it does resonate with you. Because someone else can probably put it a lot more gentle than I can. But anyway, if this resonated with you in any way, like, subscribe, all of the things, leave a comment if you so feel called. I really do appreciate it. And I do have a Patreon launching very soon. I have content rolling out. I do signs occasionally. I do pick a cards and all that. When I say signs, I mean like weeklies. Sorry, I do like the astrological signs sometimes. I'll do timeless. I might do like specific dates. I do try to watch out for the new moon and the full moon. I don't do astrological forecasts here, but I do like to push readings out around that time to help give a little bit extra guidance during that time. But anywho, love you. Thanks for checking in, and I'll see you next time. Bye.